I woke up to find a gold chain locked around my left wrist. The other end was fastened to my sworn enemy, Si Yasen. She has been my childhood rival for as long as I can remember, and now we were literally joined at the hip. I didn't hesitate for a second before I yanked her up. "You big idiot, what do you think you're doing?" I shouted. "Why are you sleeping in my bed?" Shi Yasin didn't look tired at all, and she definitely wasn't surprised to see me. She just curled her red lips into a small smile while she watched me. Then she lifted her own left wrist to show me the chain. "What the hell is this? Give me an answer right now," I demanded. Her mood shifted instantly, and she looked agitated. "You're planning to go find that Yuan woman again, aren't you?" She snapped. "Don't even think about it. You won't see her again for the rest of your life." I scratched my head, feeling totally lost. "Who is this Yuan Tianxian person? Why would I even look for her?" I asked. Ji Yashin froze for a moment, but the pause only lasted a second. She probably started remembering all the things I'd done in the past. Since she wasn't talking, I took a look around the room. It was huge, and the decor looked incredibly expensive at first glance. Ji Yashin thought I was about to lose it again. "What's the plan now?" She mocked me. "Are you going to smash another vase over my head, or what?" I ignored her and kept scanning the room. My head was spinning with a long string of questions. "Where were we?" "This is your place," she said, but I didn't remember a house looking like this. Why was I here? Why were we chained together in the same bed? What did she do to me? "You really don't know where we are?" she asked. "Did you buy a secret house behind my back and hide it from me?" I had no idea what she was talking about. Suddenly, I saw something bizarre. A line of semi-transparent text floated in mid-air. "Here we go again," it read. "The male lead is faking amnesia to trick his villainous wife." I actually feel bad for Boss C for a second. How long can he keep this up? I bet he won't last a day. The second female lead definitely sees through him. This is the third time he's used this trick. She won't fall for it again. More text appeared right after. "By the way, is Yuan Tianxian online today?" "Nope. 1-star review. Why does he like the female lead so much? Why can't he just look at our poor second female lead wife?" I recognized every word, but seeing them together made my skin crawl. It felt completely absurd. Did I transmigrate into a story? No, that couldn't be right. I was still me. And the woman in front of me was definitely Shai Yakan, the girl I'd fought with since we were kids. "You don't remember Yuan Tianxian?" she asked. "Then what do you remember?" I didn't answer her. Instead, I realized something. We're married, and she was my wife. How was that even possible? "Xiao Chen, if you're thinking about a divorce, it's absolutely impossible," she said firmly. "I'd rather die than let you be with her. Even if I'm gone, don't even dream about being with Yuan Tianxian." "I'm not even 20 yet," I argued. "How could I be married? This certificate has to be a fake. This whole marriage is illegal." I looked at her. "How old are you anyway?" 19, I replied. Shi Yakin's pupils shrank and her heart seemed to skip a beat. But a moment later, she pulled herself back together. "Jiao Chen, I don't have time for this," she sighed. "Stop acting. How many times are you going to fake amnesia? If you're not bored of this game, I am. It's a total waste of time. Just stop looking for Yuan Tianxian. She doesn't really love you. It's amnesia. Just yesterday, I took first place in the 800-meter dash at the school sports meet. I only sprained my ankle because I was trying to show off for you. But looking at the situation now, I don't seem to have any memory of this at all." As Shi Yakan listened, her expression began to shift. Her eyes stayed locked onto me, never wavering. "Ah, Chen. It was right after that race that he first met Yuan Tianxian. If he really did lose his memory, it explains why he claimed he didn't know who she was just a moment ago." "You aren't 19 this year," she said. "You're 26. We've been married for 4 years. 4 whole years." "I can't believe it. I'm clearly only 19. And why would I ever marry you? You used to tell me that even if every other man in the world died, you still wouldn't like me." "I'll give you the benefit of the doubt today," she continued. "But if I find out you're lying to me again, next time it won't just be a chain locking you up." I looked down at the chain and asked her curiously, "Is this real gold, or is it just an alloy?" "It's real, but it's 18K gold. It has low hardness, so technically it's an alloy." Well, that got my hopes up for nothing. Her voice softened just a little bit. "Tell me what you want to buy, and I'll get it for you." Did she have a change of heart? It used to be so hard to get any pocket money out of her. It wasn't easy at all. You always said your money belonged to your future husband. Now suddenly you're being generous. "You are my husband now," she replied. "How could I have married you? Are you crazy, or am I? You aren't tricking me, are you?" She grabbed the marriage certificate from the nightstand and tossed it over to me. It was the real deal. It even had the official steel seal on it. I checked the date and saw I was 22 at the time. We got married the same year we graduated. Morning light filtered through the massive floor-to-ceiling windows. Xie Qian sat in the dining room, her gaze sweeping over me. Wang Ma said politely, "Sir, breakfast is ready." I stared at the food on the table, and my eyes lit up. She observed me quietly. As I ate, I shouted toward the kitchen, "Wang Ma, your cooking is amazing." "I'm glad you like it, sir." I stuffed another pan-fried bun into my mouth. Seeing him look this happy, how long has it been since I saw him like this? But what if this is all a lie? In a split second, the tenderness in her heart was covered in frost. What if he's just doing this to lower my guard? What if he just wants to leave me again to find Yuan Tianxian? I'll give him one chance. I will wait, observe, and judge. That thought was like a venomous snake coiling tightly around Xie Qian's heart. She set down her coffee cup. If he's trying to trick me, that custom-made gold cage in the basement is still empty. I wouldn't mind letting him live in it again. Xie Qian, how come I don't remember your family being this rich? This villa wasn't cheap, was it? Did you earn all this yourself? Just how much money have you made over the years? The old Chen never asked about her finances. He didn't care about anything that had to do with her. He only thought about Yuan Tianxian. He only cared about Yuan Tianxian. He only wanted to please her. Xie Yaxian took a deep breath. It wasn't that expensive, just over 300 million. My net worth right now is at least tens of billions. My eyes had been wide open ever since I heard the number 300 million. When she said she had tens of billions, my eyeballs practically popped out of my... Man, you're way too loaded. I set my chopsticks down and gave her a serious look. You mentioned we're legally married now, right? Does that mean we split the marital assets? Half of everything you own belongs to me. That means I'm a billionaire too. Strip. Wait, right now? Isn't that a little inappropriate? Maybe we should head back to the bedroom? Whatever, Xie Yaxian and I are already hitched. Even if I take them off, so what? It's not like I'm losing anything. I gave her a huge, happy grin without a hint of sadness. Xie Yaxian watched my cheerful face and just rubbed her forehead. Did he actually lose his memory this time? In the past, even when a Chen was faking it, he couldn't mask how much he hated me. No, I've got to keep an eye on him a little longer. We signed a prenuptial agreement, a prenup. If we ever split up, you walk away with absolutely zero. My face dropped immediately. I felt totally crushed. You really protected yourself against me? Xie Yaxian, I never thought you were that type of person. I'm so disappointed in you. You're the one who insisted on it when we got hitched. I did? Why? Was I brain dead? Trying to act all noble by turning down the cash. It's because the old Chen never really wanted this marriage. He was completely devastated over Yuan Tianxian, so he only agreed to marry me as a last resort. Chen was the one who demanded the prenup. How did we even end up together? And who is this Yuan Tianxian anyway? I kept pushing for answers. Right as I asked, my gaze shifted back to those floating comments. Chen, Yuan Tianxian is your real wife. Give me a break, Xie Yaxian is his legal wife. Xie Yaxian and Chen are a match made in heaven. I'll fight anyone who wants that second female lead to win. A cheater doesn't deserve the lead role. Once he gets his memory back, he's going straight back to the female lead. You clowns need to stop trying to split up the main couple. Based on these comments, I realized that Xie Yaxian Tianxian and I were the classic tropes. I was the love-obsessed male lead, one was the villainous second lead, and the other was the cheating female lead. But what kind of woman could make me want to end my life for her? Xie Yaxian stood there for a long moment before she finally spoke. Yuan Tianxian was your first love. You used to lie to me constantly because of her. It was all deception and games. Why on earth would I sign a prenup? I'm such a huge idiot. Watching me struggle, Xie Yaxian said, Chen, you woke up with no memory and now you're talking down to yourself. Do I need to call the doctor? No, I'm fine, really. Xie Yaxian watched my weird behavior closely. It was all too strange. Everything Chen did today felt off. Did he secretly talk to Yuan Tianxian? What did she tell him this time? Is this memory loss just a carefully staged act? Is he trying to get me to drop my guard? Yet it feels like we've traveled back in time, back to before he ever loved her. Her eyes grew dark. Suspicion started spreading through her mind like wild vines. Once Xie Yaxian finished her breakfast, she got ready to head to the office. I wasn't done eating, but I followed her when I saw her leaving. Where are you headed? To work? I gave a nod. I totally forgot. What? What about me? Where do I even work? She tilted her head up and looked at me. You aren't allowed to leave the house, she stated firmly. Why is that? Do you actually think I'm lying to you? I asked. Your credibility isn't exactly high with me right now, she replied. I'm telling the truth. I really don't remember a single thing from the last 6 years. I don't even know who that Yuan something flat person is. What else could I possibly do? Since you've forgotten everything, just be a good boy and stay home. You aren't permitted to go out, And don't even dream about trying to run away. There are bodyguards all over the property. Fine, but what about my phone? I already agreed to stay inside. You have to at least give me my entertainment, right? I'll have someone bring you a new one later, she said. I just smiled and gave her a quick okay sign. Keep a close watch on him, she ordered her staff. Do not let him go anywhere, and absolutely do not let him see anyone, especially not Yuan Tianchen. Is that understood? Understood, Boss Xi, the assistant replied. Boss Xi, there is a very important bidding conference tonight. It's a joint bid involving the Xi Group, the Yuan Group, and several other companies. Is that so? She asked. Every time he pulls a stunt like this, it's just to help the Yuan Group steal a project. Even though the Xi Group isn't their only rival, if they can take us down, no one else will be able to compete with them. Spit it out, she commanded. Boss Xi, could he be faking it? Maybe he's just trying to make you lower your guard so he can pull something big at the conference tonight. He's already ruined so many of the Xi Group's partnerships, yet Boss Xi always spoils him. Even after losing massive profits and facing angry shareholders, she still won't divorce him. The man must be blind. He can't see what an incredible wife he has. Instead, he insists on throwing himself at that scumbag woman. I feel so terrible for Boss Xi. If that's the case, you should prepare a backup plan immediately, she said. No matter what happens, we must win this project. We can't let his actions throw off our pace. You're right, Boss Xi, the assistant agreed. Back at the house, I finished eating and drinking my fill. I flopped back down on the bed. I have to admit, this bed is absolutely massive. The sheets are all pure silk. In the past, the Chow and Xi families were just moderately wealthy. We could afford nice furniture, but definitely not a villa this huge. I still haven't figured out how Chi Yaki managed to strike it rich. How did she become so successful? I watched the bullet comments scrolling across the screen in real time. It was mostly just nonsense and unimportant chatter. There wasn't any real information there, so I couldn't be bothered to read them anymore. I hadn't been messing around on my new phone for long when a notification popped up. Ah, Chen, today's project is incredibly important. You have to help me stall Si Yashan. Once I defeat the Xi Group, we'll finally get married. The comments started flying again. The female lead still has the nerve to trick the male lead. He'll definitely say yes. He's so in love with her. It's hard to say now that he has amnesia. Does he even remember she's the female lead? His amnesia isn't confirmed yet. Maybe he's just faking it to mess with the second female lead. This project today is crucial. Someone please tell the male lead to stop causing trouble. Now I finally got it. The person sending those messages was that Yuan something, flat something, scumbag woman. I just rolled over and went back to scrolling on my phone. About 10 minutes went by. Since I still hadn't sent a reply, Yuan Tianchen finally realized that something was wrong. She started using sweet talk to try and manipulate me into doing what she wanted. It got annoying, so I just blocked her. Yuan Tianchen definitely didn't see that coming. She probably wondered how I could actually block her. Maybe she thought she'd been ignoring me for too long lately. She quickly sent over a few more sugary messages. She claimed her flings with other guys were all fake, and they were just business partners. She said I was her only true love, and she was only working to save up for our wedding. She even argued that this project was just a way to take better care of me later. Send me 5 million to prove it, I replied. That shut her up, and she changed her tone immediately. Ah, Chen, you've changed, she wrote. She told me I never used to be so materialistic. She said I used to be pure and kind, like fresh snow. She asked if I'd been spending too much time with Si Yaxian. She claimed I was being influenced by her. She told me I needed to stay away from that woman. I'm working so hard for our future, she said. She asked why I couldn't just be more supportive and understanding. I frowned, feeling a bit of doubt creep in. I wondered to myself if I could really like someone like her. Whether it's a case of transmigration or amnesia, it doesn't matter. There is no way I would ever fall for a person like that. I didn't want to waste another second on her, so I blocked her phone number too. Then I just went back to my games. While we were heading to the bidding conference, Wang Ma called. She's the nanny at the Xi house. Hello, Wang Ma, Xi Yashin said. The nanny sounded panicked. She said the young master was throwing up constantly. His stomach was in knots and he was rolling on the floor in agony. Where is the family doctor? Xi Yashin asked. Wang Ma said she'd already called him and he was on his way. Apparently, he wanted an ambulance, but the bodyguards stopped him. They claimed they needed her permission first. Tell those idiots to call 911 right now, she snapped. She told her that if anything happened to him, every one of them would be fired. The bodyguards didn't waste any more time and called for help. Xi Yaxian hung up and told the driver to turn the car around. Her assistant, Yuju, spoke up. Boss, see, the bidding is about to start. It's a little convenient that he gets sick right now, don't you think? I know what you're getting at, Si Yaqian replied. But Chen always comes first for me. She said that even if he's the boy who cried wolf, she'll still believe him every single time. He could lie to her 1,000 times, but she won't ignore him even once. She doesn't consider herself a lucky person, and she can't lose him. She wouldn't be able to handle that kind of pain. Yuju wanted to argue more, but she eventually just nodded. The black Rolls-Royce was right at the intersection by the venue. Suddenly, it made a sharp U-turn. The car sped away, heading back toward the Ji estate. Shi Yaxian took a long, deep breath. She knew this might be another carefully planned setup. The timing was definitely suspicious. Someone might be trying to keep her away from the conference. Still, she felt like she had no choice. She couldn't afford to take that risk. She didn't dare to gamble with his life. Even if the boy cries wolf 100 times, she'll still run to him on the 101st. She won't hesitate. Her phone vibrated again with a message from Wang Ma. The ambulance had arrived, and they were taking him to the hospital. Yuju started working on her tablet immediately. She had to handle the delay of the bidding process, so Yakin just kept staring out the window, lost in thought. Suddenly, the car slammed on its brakes in front. So Yakin bolted into the hospital's emergency wing the very moment her car screeched to a halt. Wang Ma and several bodyguards were pacing nervously outside the ER doors. When Wang Ma spotted her, she hurried over. "Miss, he's inside. The doctors are still checking him over." Sayashin stepped toward the door. She peered through the glass, but she could only make out blurred figures moving around in the room. She balled her fists, trying to force her racing heart to steady. She turned to the bodyguards, her hands dropping to her sides. Her voice was quiet, but it carried a bone-chilling edge. "Which one of you stopped him from calling an ambulance?" A large, muscular guard braced himself and stepped out. "You gave us orders before, miss. You said if he wanted to use emergency contacts or call for a car, we had to first." "I need you to guarantee his absolute safety," she snapped, cutting him off. "I didn't tell you to force him to endure illness and pain. If something had actually happened to him, which one of you could have handled the blame?" The guards went silent, not daring to say another word. Right then, the ER door swung open. "Doctor, how's my husband?" she asked immediately. "It's acute gastroenteritis," the doctor explained. "The patient is underweight and usually doesn't eat enough. This time, he ate way too much at once. His stomach couldn't handle the load, which caused severe spasms and vomiting. We've given him some meds, so the pain is fading. He's on an IV now for observation. It's nothing life-threatening, so don't worry." The weight on her chest finally lifted. A wave of exhaustion hit her, but it was mostly just pure relief. Siyashin let out a heavy sigh. "Thank you, doctor. Can I see him now?" "Yes, but he needs to rest, so please keep it down." "I understand," she nodded. She pushed the door open softly and stepped inside. I was lying there on the bed with my eyes shut. My face was still pretty pale, and an IV was taped to the back of my hand. I could see the clear liquid dripping down, one slow drop at a time. When I heard footsteps, my eyelashes fluttered and my eyes opened. When I saw it was her, a mix of complex emotions flashed through my mind. I was surprised, but maybe it was something else too. "Don't you have a big meeting today?" I asked, my voice sounding a bit raspy. A strange look crossed Sayakin's dark eyes. "How did you know about that?" She probably suspected I was trying to lure her away from the bidding conference on purpose, but she'd come prepared. Even if she wasn't there herself, her team wasn't a bunch of pushovers. It's almost pathetic. The second the male lead starts crying, she comes running like a loyal dog. Honestly, I'm on her side. I'd love to see her just lock him up and keep him all to herself. "I got a text today telling me to keep you busy," I told her. It mentioned an important meeting. "So Yakin, you've got to believe me. I have amnesia right now. Even if we've had our problems, I wouldn't team up with outsiders against you. I don't even know who that woman is right now. And even if I did, I wouldn't try to ruin your career like that. I wish things could just stay like this forever." Sayakin reached out for my phone. In the past, I would have been a nervous wreck. This time, I just grabbed it, unlocked the screen, and handed it right to her. She saw the messages from Yuan Tianchen asking to make up. As she read through all the sweet talk, her expression darkened again. The messages proved exactly what I'd said. I really hadn't. "I agree. My trip to the hospital was a total coincidence. I just thought my 26-year-old self looked way too skinny. I wanted to eat more and build up my body. Who would have thought I'd be this fragile now?" It had been a long time since Siyashian heard me ramble on like this. I couldn't wait to tell her every little trivial thing that happened to me. I wanted to share it all with her. It seemed like I'd truly forgotten Yuan Tianchen. Her eyes could finally see me again. Sayashin stayed by my side while I got my IV drip. Outside the window, the night was as dark as ink. Every so often, the soft footsteps of nurses echoed down the hallway. The liquid in the IV bottle dripped at a steady rhythm. It felt like it was measuring time itself while I leaned against the propped-up bed. My face was still pretty pale, but my eyes were surprisingly bright. It was like I was desperate to pull a forgotten past out of the fog. I asked so many questions about those 6 years. I wanted to know everything I'd lost. At first, Yakin only gave short answers. She even tried to change the subject a few times. To her, those 6 years were just endless moments of awkward silence. She'd spent them watching helplessly as I turned my back on her for someone else. It was a time of intense jealousy and powerlessness. Those feelings were buried deep in her heart, and they almost swallowed her whole. Those were the worst 6 years of our lives. She didn't want to talk about it, not even a single word. But every time she started to go quiet, her eyes would meet mine. There wasn't any gloom or old baggage in my gaze. There was only pure curiosity, as clear as a stream in early autumn. My eyes didn't reflect any of the dust from our past. Looking at me like that, she couldn't keep her walls up. I eventually coaxed those bitter memories out of her, piece by piece. That Yuan person, how did I even meet her? Yakin's fingers brushed against the edge of the bedrail without her realizing it. The cold metal seeped right through her skin. Her voice sounded flat and direct when she finally spoke. Yuan Tianchen. She was a graduate student at our university. After you sprained your ankle, I was the one who took you to the clinic. I went with you every single time you needed a checkup or a new dressing. But on that very last visit, you were mostly healed. You were walking fine, and I had something else to take care of that day. So I didn't go with you. That's when you met her. It only took one single absence. Just that one time. She'd stayed by his side every other time, never leaving him alone. Yet she couldn't compete with one random twist of fate. It was a fluke that made a Chen fall in love with another woman at first sight. After that, you started keeping secrets. You were sneaking around every day and always seemed distracted. My own project was at a critical stage, so I was working day and night. By the time I finally had the energy to check on you, you ran up to me. You told me you were going to confess your feelings to Yuan Tianchen. Listening to this felt like hearing a story about a stranger. The hospital room went quiet for a beat. The only sound was the faint hum of the machines. I felt my brow furrow. Then how did we actually end up married? I asked the question that had been bugging me all day. It was the thing that confused me most since I woke up this morning. Later on, you found out that Yuan Tianchen wasn't just leading you on. There was more. To make it worse, she was already promised to another man. You were so furious and devastated that you ran to me for a flash marriage. I saw how broken you were at the time, and I just couldn't say no. Xia Yaxian had been lying the whole time. The truth was that she wanted him, but she simply couldn't have him. I was left in the dark through it all, totally misreading what our relationship actually was. I only gave him a shot because he seemed so full of regret. I jerked upright from my leaning position. My voice went sharp with a mix of fury and shock, and I felt the IV needle tug against my skin. I couldn't believe it at first. Then the sheer absurdity of the situation hit me like a wave. I didn't even know what face to make. I started grilling Xia Yakin about the last 6 years. I wanted her version of the story, but I was even more curious about what those bullet comments were going to say. The leads fell in love at first sight. One comment read, "Childhood friends never stand a chance against the destined one." They said the second female lead lost fair and square. Apparently, the female lead's feelings for anyone else were just a sham. Only her love for the hero was real. Give me a break. That female lead flirts with everyone. How many times has she made the male lead have a total meltdown? She's the heir to the Yuan group, and with all her dad's illegitimate kids running around, she had to lock down her power first. Marriage alliances were just tools for her. Everyone except the male lead was just a pawn in her game, playing along. If that's true, why didn't she dump her fiancé to be with him? When the male lead got trashed online and called a homewrecker, she just vanished again. You really call that love? I sat there and took in Xi Yakin's brief but loaded explanation. Slowly, the last 6 years regarding Yuan Tianchen started to form a clear picture in my head. It turned out to be nothing but a cliché, painful story. She was hungry for power and wanted to rule her family, but she couldn't let go of her romantic side. She played me with promises of true love while keeping a fiancé who could help her career. She kept the act up until everything blew up, and I was the one left with a ruined reputation. This whole plot feels like it was ripped out of a trashy, old-school soap opera. I can't wrap my head around it. Was I really that big of an idiot? That's not my style at all. How could I have been so blind? The IV bag finally went empty. I was more than ready to get out of this hospital and its gross smell of disinfectant. Once outside, my eyes locked onto that Rolls-Royce. My pupils practically dilated. That car is so freaking cool. I let my fingers slide over the smooth door. 28 million? I whipped my head around. If I hadn't run into Yuan Tianchen back then, would I have made it on my own? Maybe I would have started a business and made a killing too. I stopped for a second. With my own talent, I could have bought mansions and fast cars. I could have even kept a supermodel or something. Kept a what? She asked. None of your business. I want to keep a supermodel. I lost 6 years of my prime for no reason. 6 whole years. I haven't even held a girl's hand properly, and now I wake up and I'm tied directly to you. So what if I want to keep a supermodel? I just want a little bit of romance. The heavy tension in the air had finally vanished. Looking at Xia Qin's, I felt like we were back to the way we were years ago. Get in the car, we're going home, she said. I was just saying whatever popped into my head without holding back. I deliberately walked past her. I yanked open the back door and hopped right in. I treated her exactly like my personal driver. Ji Yekin watched my childish, energetic behavior, and that old, familiar feeling surged in her heart once more. A smile tugged at her red lips, and she couldn't stop it. She opened the back door and tried her best to pull me out. I didn't get to see this playful side of Xi Yakin very often. I went along with her, letting her shove me into the front passenger seat. Are you really treating me like your chauffeur? She asked. You should be thrilled to drive this young master around, I teased. When we reached the house, I stayed stuck to my seat. I let her stubbornly drag me out like a child. The servants at the Jia residence stood by the door, stunned. They had never seen the two of them acting so close before. Usually, it was all cold glares and nasty fights. Today was a total 180. One of us was playing around while the other smiled. It looked like the ice between us was finally starting to melt. Shi Yakin hooked her arm through mine and led me down the hall. We headed straight for the master bedroom. She sat me down on the bed, her face turning a deep shade of red. Her sudden gentleness caught me totally off guard. You've changed so much, I blurted out. You're calling me old again, aren't you? Don't forget we're the same. Chen, that's exactly what you get for showing off. It serves you right. You went and sprained your ankle, so go ahead, keep acting like a big shot. Back before I transmigrated, I remember spraining my ankle once. Xi Yaxian helped me get to the campus hospital, but she didn't stop scolding me the entire way. Before she could even finish her lecture, I gave my leg a deliberate shake. That shut her up instantly. Even though the 20-year-old version of her was a total nag, she was always there for me. No matter what happened, she'd show up in a heartbeat even for the smallest, most pointless things. Now, at 26, she's cold toward me, but I can tell she still cares. My mind feels young right now, so I'm not on her level. Because of that, I just blurted it out without a filter. You have a crush on me. It wasn't a question, I didn't hesitate for a second. My voice sounded way too certain. Shi Yashin stopped dead in her tracks and cleared her throat. Crush on you? My ass? Get back to the room with me right now. You aren't allowed to sleep out here. The bullet comments on the screen exploded all over again. I took a quick look at the arguments, but I couldn't find a single useful piece of info. Honestly, I didn't have the energy to dig any deeper anyway. Shi Yaxian was already standing right in front of me. Her eyes were clear and focused. She wasn't looking for a discussion. She was giving me an order. Walk back on your own, or should I call someone to carry you? I'm not interested in you. Just look at how skinny you've become. I really am thin. I took a look at myself, realizing I must look sickly to her. For a split second, I saw a flash of deep pain in her eyes. It felt like by hurting me, she was also hurting herself. Then why do you keep me tied up like this? It's about my lost memories, isn't it? Before we got married, you were obsessed with Yuan Tianchen. You turned yourself into a shell of a man. After the wedding, I gave you some space at first. But the first time you saw her again, you came home and went on a hunger strike for 3 days. You kept demanding a divorce. I didn't agree to it, but I didn't stop you from seeing her either. I'm serious. I even sent bodyguards to watch over you in secret. The next time I saw you, you were crying at our front door. You told me Yuan Tianchen and her fiancé were getting engaged. You got hurt so many times because of that woman. I forgot to mention that she still has a fiancé right now. She's engaged, yet she keeps stringing you along. She used your connections to steal collaborations from the CA group. She was sucking the life out of us just to make herself stronger. She never kept her promise to marry you, and she hasn't even called off her engagement. Yet you still kept trashing your own body for her. You took random pills that completely ruined your health. When her childhood friend needed an organ donor, you actually tried to give him yours. Thank God I stepped in and locked you up at home. If I hadn't, you wouldn't just be skin and bones. You'd be dead. Since then, I've had people watching you all day. At night, I lock you in to sleep with me. Don't even think about trying to run away. Was that really me? That sounds like a total idiot. I seriously can't relate to that guy at all. I tried to defend myself. Well, haven't I forgotten all of that now? I need to make sure you don't suddenly remember and start acting out again. You're coming back with me. There's no point in fighting it. I'm not interested in you. I finally gave in. I was moved by how loyal she'd been, never abandoning me after all these years. Fine, fine, I said. Looking at my reflection, I wouldn't be interested in me either. Although she, Yassian. Even though she had a sharp tongue, she was still family, and she never gave up on me. She, Yassian, led me back to the master bedroom. She expertly used the chain to tie us together. Keeping her promise, she stayed on her side of the bed. She, Yassian, this bed is actually really comfortable, I said. She just snorted, clearly exhausted from the long day. Go to sleep, she ordered. The next morning, a soft clinking sound echoed through the quiet room. Ji Yassian woke up first. She tried to move quietly, but the metal chain still rattled against my consciousness. It was so noisy. I don't have class this morning, I grumbled. Can't you just let me sleep in? Get up and eat breakfast first, a woman's voice replied. If you want to sleep, do it after you eat. Since when were there women allowed in the dorms? Suddenly, fragments of my memory slammed back together. I bolted upright as if I'd been burned. Your memory is surprisingly sharp, she noted. You even remember that you don't have class today. I didn't say anything. I just sat there on the bed, falling deeper into a daze. Everything from 6 years ago felt like it happened yesterday. However, the woman standing before me and the changes in my own body told a different story. 6 years had definitely passed. This wasn't right, something. This sudden turn of events pulled my messy thoughts in a completely different direction. Yes, host, System 137 replied, its voice flat and totally robotic. I apologize. I was meant to connect with you yesterday, but headquarters called a meeting. That is why I am only linking up with you now. Also, you cannot mention my existence to anyone else. Any speech related to me will be automatically censored. We can communicate directly through your consciousness. This is safer, and it keeps the outside world from thinking you've lost your mind. So that was the deal. It wasn't that Yakin couldn't hear me. My words were just being blocked. Everything finally clicked. 1137 sounded just like the last 4 digits of a phone number. My frayed nerves suddenly relaxed. I even felt a strange spark of curiosity. You even use emojis? I thought to myself. System No 137 went quiet for a second. Then a little emoticon popped up right in my mind. My eyes went wide in shock. I almost let out a scream in the real world. Xiao Chen lost his memory yesterday. Today he's struggling to speak, hearing things, and staring into space. His expressions are strange and his symptoms are just piling up. The situation really isn't looking good. She watched my face as my expressions shifted rapidly. Are you all right? We need to go to the hospital right now. I finally snapped out of it. I'm okay, really. I'm just a bit groggy from waking up. My head is still a little fuzzy. I waved my hands dismissively. Let's just eat breakfast. I'm starving. Shi Yakin didn't look convinced. After breakfast, she called the family doctor before heading to the office. While the doctor checked me over, a middle-aged man burst into the room in tears. Please, help me talk to the miss. Sir, please don't let her fire me. My mind is currently only 20 years old. I'd never seen an older man kneel before me like that. I quickly reached out to pull him up. Stand up first. Just take your time and tell me what's going on. Sir, I have aging parents and 2 sons in college to support. I really can't lose this job. He had just changed to a new number yesterday, yet Yuan Tianxian somehow found out that same day. There really was a mole in this house. Yuan Tianxian was tracking the company's moves while playing games with Ah Chen, intentionally teasing him. Did she really think Shi Yakin was just for show? Once I heard what the man had done, the bit of sympathy in my heart vanished. Keeping a traitor around for his own gain is like burying a landmine. It's way too risky. If you'll sell out Shi Yakin today, you'll sell out anyone tomorrow. Today it's just passing on information, but tomorrow it could cost a life. The Shi family won't keep someone like you. I'll pay your final wages according to the standard rates, but if you keep bothering us, I'll sue you for violating the employee code and demand damages. This is the best day I've had in years. I hope Ah Chen keeps up this memory loss act a bit longer. This time, I'm absolutely not letting him get away again. It seems like he's truly forgotten everything. In that case, he should never remember. Stay by my side forever. Stay here because you want to. I went back. I walked into the bedroom and flopped onto the bed. Then I started a conversation with the system inside my head. Hey, 137, can we change that code name? If anyone heard it, they'd think my food delivery just showed up. Certainly, it replied. What would you prefer to call me? First off, stop being so formal with me. It makes me feel old and I'm still pretty young. Also, can you fix your tone? You're way too calm. It's like talking to a block of ice. Understood. I can adjust everything to your liking. How does a lively and friendly personality sound to you? That works. Just don't sound like a machine, or I won't have any interest in talking to you. Before we pick a name, tell me what you actually do. I'm from the male lead department. My primary mission is to save the male lead. To put it simply, I'm here to support you. Save me from what exactly? Are we talking about Shi Yaqian locking me away, or Yuan Tianxian making my life miserable? Host, I need to tell you something important first. You should prepare yourself mentally. This world we're living in is actually a novel. I already know that, I said flatly. Wait, how could you possibly know? That shouldn't be possible. I just arrived and haven't mentioned a word about it yet. Did the other characters tell you? And you just believed them? That doesn't seem right either. Is there something you want to explain? I can see the reader comments. Is that a glitch in your system or something? That was my error. I only got here yesterday and was immediately pulled back for a meeting. So, you've already figured out this world by reading the comments? Not exactly. Most of the commenters are just joking around or fighting with each other all day. There isn't a lot of helpful info. I just know I'm the hopeless romantic male lead, and the second female lead is the villain. Then there's the main female lead who has some seriously twisted views on love. Don't talk about yourself that way, the system interrupted. A male lead needs to be strong and confident. This entire world exists because of you. Are you sure I'm the center of everything? If that's true, why do the resources and benefits always go to the female lead? Look at me. I'm so thin right now that I can feel my bones poking out. It's uncomfortable. The female lead and the second female lead definitely deserve some harsh criticism. You see, this is a very old story. Back when it was written, tropes about physical abuse and ruined families were all the rage. That style isn't popular anymore, though. This world has gone through several cycles of reincarnation already. Lately, things have started to veer off track. During the last cycle, the second female lead completely snapped. She murdered the female lead and then killed herself right in front of you. Every main character died, and the world had to reboot. Hold on, what did you just say? I died. I'm the male lead, right? How could I die? And now you're saying the second female lead is acting weird again in this life. Who is actually the center of this world? It feels like the female lead is the author's favorite child while the male lead is just adopted. Why do I have to be the one who dies? Is my death unavoidable? If I'm going down, I'm taking that gold digger you watching with me. Bzzt. System now 137 detects a disorder alert. Host, please try to stay calm. We are here to help you reach a happy ending. If your idea of a happy ending is following the original plot and ending up with Yu Wanchen, I'd rather go end her right now. Who is an ending like that supposed to satisfy? It's disgusting. Who could ever love a woman like her? If anyone likes her so much, they can spend their lives with her. Just leave me out of it. Please, calm down. Our male lead department has very high standards. You've got the authority now. Besides, those old clichés aren't popular these days. You get to decide how this story ends. You can choose to let the second female lead take the spotlight, or you can go the solo route as an overpowered male lead with zero romance. Now that sounds much better. I'm really hoping for a reunion and a perfect happy ending. How about I call you 21? Understood, host. Our main goal is happiness and perfection. I'm looking forward to working with you. You still haven't explained your functions. How exactly do you plan on helping me? That comment feature of yours is a total double-edged sword. People just argue in there all day, and it's incredibly annoying. I'm so sorry, host. I'll shut it off immediately. If you want to check it later, you can always adjust the settings in your consciousness. You need to finish the main quest and build up your happiness progress. Every time you hit a milestone, you'll unlock a new reward. The ultimate grand prize is growing old together. Even if you don't have a partner and finish your life alone, it doesn't matter. Growing old with yourself still counts as the grand prize. But what if my luck is terrible? What if the person I pick betrays me again? What happens then? You can just swap them out whenever you want. The new person you choose will inherit the grand prize instead. This male lead system always puts the male lead first. I can live with that. I'm actually pretty satisfied. I still have one more question though. Just a few days ago, I was definitely still in college. Now I've suddenly been married for 4 years. How did that happen? Well, about that, just listen to my excuses. No, wait, I mean listen to my explanation. Right at the start of the story, I took you to headquarters to link up your neural terminal. Characters in a novel don't usually remember headquarters, of course. The problem is, I spent way too much time upgrading the system. You and I were supposed to get here 6 years ago. The network at headquarters lagged, which delayed my entire upgrade process. One day at headquarters is the same as 1 year in this world. I tried to fix it and go back to the day you got married. However, I couldn't turn back time, and we ended up in an even worse version of the present. Both your body and your mind have been through a lot of pain. I'm a college student. Are you one too? This whole thing feels way too unreliable. Actually, I'm a system that just graduated from college this year. You're my very first host. What? Are you even capable of doing this? I'm really starting to doubt your skills now. I have confidence in us. I truly believe you will definitely be happy. This world just lost 6 years for no reason. Was I even here during that time? I exist in this world, and it's still following the plot of the novel. Those 6 years were handled by the world's program. It's basically what people call autopilot. Well, if it can just run on autopilot, why do you even need me? Logically, the plot says I'd follow this path anyway. Autopilot would just follow the script. So what's the difference between me and a program? Besides, this behavior is nothing like my real personality. The gap is just too big. It doesn't seem like something I would ever do. The difference is that an autopiloted body doesn't feel any pain when it gets hurt. It has no emotions and no thoughts. But you have me now. Since I actually have thoughts, how could I ever do something so stupid? That wasn't me. It absolutely wasn't me. Other people just follow the script and call it a day. The beginning and the end are controlled by the plot, but they live however they want in between. Only the middle part is the actual plot. That person being manipulated by everyone else. That wasn't me at all. I'm just a puppet on strings living out a script written by someone else. I never get to do what I actually want. The version of me in the plot and the real me are two completely different people. I can't understand his thoughts, and I don't get his way of doing things at all. I definitely couldn't do them myself. He makes me act like a fool over and over again. Once or twice might be fine, but being this stupid every single time is just too much. It's totally normal to feel like the person in the script isn't you. The one trapped by the plot isn't the real you at all. You're only your true self when you're living freely, right? No matter what happens, I'll never admit those 6 years belong to me. It's just too brain dead. I could never do something like that. Oh, right. What kind of abilities do you have? My power is to rewind time 3 times, then rewind me back to 6 years ago right now. Let's start over from 6 years ago. Actually, mission rewinds can only be short-term. Fine, let's just save this skill for later. What are the milestone rewards for the main quest? You said this is the main quest, so that means there must be side quests too. Are the rewards blind boxes? I have no idea what you'll actually get out of them. Side quests will be randomly issued based on the characters you meet. You can choose whether to do them or not. That sounds pretty interesting to me. The Shea Corporation successfully landed the project, and it's basically a guaranteed gold mine. This win meant they finally broke through the competition from all those other companies. The night Yuan Tianchen heard the results, she locked herself in the CEO's office on the top floor of the Yuan Corporation building. She was the only person left on the entire floor. The notification email with the bidding results just sat there, staring coldly from her computer screen. Every single word felt like a needle piercing her eyes. She stood up slowly and walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window. She looked out at the dazzling night view of High City. That commercial territory was supposed to be under her control, but now it just seemed to mock her failure. She started frantically smashing things. Once she finished venting, she stood there panting in the middle of the wreckage. Her long hair was a mess, and the loose strands on her forehead were soaked with sweat. Her phone screen lit up with a call from her fiancé, Chi Yibai. She didn't answer. She just stared at the flashing name as her eyes grew dark. 3 months ago, she signed an investment agreement with Chi Yibai to win the government bid and get funding from the Chi family. If the project worked out, his family would get a 15% share, but if it failed, she had to pay back the principal with 20% interest within 3 years. She even had to use her 8% equity as collateral. She had also made a serious, ironclad pledge to her father, Yuan Fengtai. Even though he stayed behind the scenes, he was the one with all the real power. He only cared about results, not family ties. He already had plenty of children, including some illegitimate ones. After a failure this big, Yuan Tianchen's position was completely falling apart. The next morning, Yuan Tianchen forced herself to get her emotions under control. She tried to regroup by reaching out to some smaller tech companies she had planned to work with before. She started pushing some secondary projects forward, hoping a few quick wins would help her win back her father's favor. Around noon, Qi Zhangping, Qi Yibai's father, called exactly when expected. The conversation finally ended after a round of warnings and heavy pressure. Yuan Tianchen's smile vanished in an instant. Her eyes turned terrifyingly cold. A few seconds later, she viciously slammed the phone onto her brand new desk. That old fox actually has the nerve to treat me this way. It seems like everyone wants to kick me while I'm down. Shi Yakin got even busier after she landed that government project. No matter how swamped she was, she still checked the hourly updates from the bodyguards. She needed to know exactly what I was doing at home. It had been 3 hours since I'd left my room. Shi Yakin always cared about me more than anyone else, so she started feeling uneasy. She knew something was wrong. It's been 3 hours and he hasn't stepped outside once. When a kid is this quiet, they're definitely up to no good. She told the bodyguard to head to the villa and check on the young master. The guard knocked on my door. "Young master, are you in there?" I answered that I was just playing games and asked what was up. The guard reported back that everything was fine and I was just gaming. Ji Yakin's anxiety finally settled once she heard I was okay. For the next several days, she worked at the office while I stayed home and played games. I tried to go out a few times, but she rejected every single request. At night, a gold chain tethered us together. It kept us both in check as we lay on opposite sides of the massive bed, staying over a meter apart. There was one major inconvenience, though. I was eating extra meals every day to gain weight faster. I also ate and drank right before bed, so I had to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. This constantly woke Shi Yakin up. Her sleep quality got worse and worse because of it. Before long, rumors started spreading through the Shi Corporation. People whispered that I was tormenting their CEO without mercy. Meanwhile, Yuan Tianchen was busy working with smaller companies to win back her father's trust. She was furious at first because I scolded her and blocked her at the bidding conference. However, she eventually decided I was just being a brat. She thought I was still obedient and only throwing a tantrum. In her mind, it wasn't that I didn't want her anymore. After all, I had stalled Ji Yakin and kept her from entering the venue. She truly believed I still loved her and was just acting out. Unfortunately for her, her subordinates were totally useless. She still lost the project even though Shi Yakin never showed up. Later on, she found out I ended up in the hospital because I tried to help her. She took a moment to send some messages to check on me, but I never replied. She just assumed I couldn't talk because my freedom was restricted. She sent a few more texts to my old number, planning to use them as leverage down the road. I had been in this world for half a month now. The novelty of transmigrating had completely worn off during these days of confinement. Every morning I woke up in the same luxurious, cold bedroom. I spent my time scrolling through short videos and watching how other people lived. My finger joints actually started to ache from all the swiping. I sprawled out on the bed, threw my phone to the side, and called out to the system. I want to run away. I'll get hurt by Yuan Tianchen, and then Ji Yakin can drag me back. But my body is just too weak right now. I might actually drop dead before I even get halfway. The system agreed that I had a point. It told me to focus on nursing my body back to health first. Health is the most important asset for any mission. I definitely need a better physique. Speaking of which, host, if you can nurse your body back to health and reach a normal weight, it'll count as your first happiness goal milestone. How does that sound? So, getting healthy is actually part of the mission. It makes sense because you can't have a happy ending without physical and mental wellness. I wondered what the actual standard for health was. Usually it means meeting specific medical indicators and being free of illness. But for me, the system made it simple. It just meant I needed to gain weight. I'd been trying for 2 weeks, yet I only managed to put on 3 or 4 pounds. The system reminded me that at my height of 188.8 centimeters, I needed to weigh at least 140 pounds. Anything less than that was considered dangerously thin. I let out a sigh and looked at my bony reflection. I nodded to myself and tossed my phone onto the bed. From this moment on, I was going to eat a lot more. I hurried downstairs to find Aunt Wang. I told her that starting today, I needed meals that would help me put on some meat. I asked her to cook anything nourishing. She smiled and told me not to worry. She promised she would definitely fatten me up. However, it seemed like her idea of nourishing was a little different than mine. When I sat down for dinner, the table was covered in rich delicacies. I didn't hesitate and started digging in. Shi Yakian's eyes slowly scanned the spread. There were charcoal-grilled oysters, medium-well steaks, and fresh deep-sea noodles. She saw a bright green chive omelette and a pot of 10-herb tonic soup with goji berry tea. The theme of this meal was incredibly obvious. Aunt Wang explained that the son-in-law had asked for blood-nourishing, bodybuilding meals earlier that afternoon. She even commented on how thoughtful I was being. Shi Yakin's lips twitched at the remark. She watched as I kept my head down, focused entirely on the food. I was working hard, slurping down an oyster from its shell with one hand while using a fork to shove steak into my mouth with the other. Shi Yakin closed her eyes for a second before asking Aunt Wang to leave us. Soon, the only sounds in the room were the clinking of my silverware and the noise of my chewing. She finally asked if it was good. I told her it was delicious and that Aunt Wang's cooking was incredible. I mentioned the soup was particularly fresh. I didn't care about my lack of table manners. See, Yashin just watched me. Her expression showed that she was as only focused on the food and nothing else. She suddenly felt like her previous assumptions might have been a little too judgmental. She picked up her own chopsticks and began to eat. I told her to hurry up because there was so much food. I joked that if she didn't start eating, I'd finish everything myself. Then, I served myself another bowl of soup. I was determined to see this weight gain plan through to the end. Ji Yashin watched me eat like a whirlwind and her eyelids started twitching again. She casually warned me to slow down. She reminded me that binge eating could upset my stomach and put me back in the hospital. I told her I'd be fine. I felt pretty smug as I calculated exactly how much weight I'd gained from this single meal. My System 21 was monitoring my intake in real time, and I wasn't even close to the danger zone yet. I knew exactly what I was doing. I grabbed another piece of chive. Watching me eat with such joy actually made Ziyashin hungrier, and she ended up eating much more than usual. The night air felt heavy. She lay in bed just a few feet away from me. Her body felt warmer than usual, and her mind began to wander. It really seemed like Chen had forgotten everything about the last few years. His behavior didn't feel like an act at all. It was as if his entire past had simply vanished. It was impossible to fake this kind of cold indifference for so long, and it certainly couldn't be done this authentically. Ji Yakin's mind drifted back to the years before they turned 20, back to those simpler, youthful days. As she looked at the version of him that couldn't remember her, those old, withered feelings began to stir. Her restless heart was suddenly vibrant again, burning with a heat she hadn't felt in years. I had no way of knowing about the storm raging inside her heart. To be honest, I hated the idea of sharing a bedroom with her at first. But after living together for 2 weeks, I started to feel more certain about her motives. It seemed like Ji Yakin just wanted to keep me away from Yun Tian Tian, and she was solely focused on my safety. Other than that, she didn't appear to have any other hidden agenda. A week of eating those heavy, nutritious meals really paid off. Since I was clearing my plate every day, I started putting on some much-needed weight. My arms and legs didn't look so thin anymore, and I finally had some meat on my bones. One morning, I stepped onto the scale and watched the needle settle right at 110 pounds. I caught my reflection in the mirror and couldn't stop myself from grinning. While I was getting healthier, a different kind of fire was starting to burn inside Ji Yakin. It began with her just tossing and turning at night. She was strong and healthy, so the physical tension eventually turned into a quiet kind of torture. She'd wake up in the middle of the night and just stare at me in the shadows. I was always fast asleep, totally unaware of what she was going through. When she saw how much I trusted her, her passion turned into a sense of helplessness. She didn't want to ruin my sleep, but she didn't want to jump into a cold shower either. Most of all, she couldn't find the words to explain any of it to me. One night, that familiar heat hit her harder than usual. Beads of sweat broke out on Shi Yuxian's forehead as she struggled to stay calm. She quietly kicked off the blankets and used her key to unlock the chain around her wrist. In my sleep, I rolled toward the center of the bed and my arm brushed against hers. She almost ran to the bathroom, desperate to wash away the thoughts racing through her head. By the time I woke up the next morning, I had no clue anything had happened. I just headed downstairs to grab breakfast like I always did. Shi Yuxian watched me eat, feeling genuinely happy to see some color back in my face. I'm getting bored just sitting around the house, I told her. I think I need to find a job. I'm just living here like a lazy pig, and it doesn't feel right. She couldn't help but chuckle when she heard me say that. It reminded her that I hadn't changed a bit. Even back then, I was the type of person who would insult myself when I was being blunt. Look, I know you're worried about me leaving the house, but I'm starting to grow mold in here. I'm not that guy who would throw his life away for a girl anymore. I'm 20 years old now, and I want to be someone who's actually productive and positive. I need a job, and I don't even care what it is. If I don't have the skills, I'll learn them. I don't want to be locked away forever. I feel more like a pet than a real person. You're doing great, the host chimed in. This is who you really are. The version of you that was stuck following the plot wasn't the real you at all. Just look at all these comments praising your attitude. You're taking control of your own life. You don't have to be some superstar, but you deserve the right to make your own choices, too. I want to do what I want for a change. Right now, that means getting a job, fitting into society, and standing on my own 2 feet. I want to be my own person again, the old Chen. It had been years since I felt this way. Oh, sure. Haha, you can work as my assistant then. You'll follow me everywhere, every single day. Is there really no other choice? Shi Yuxian got annoyed, her cheeks puffing out. What's with that face? Why are you looking at me like that? What's with the attitude? Look, I agree with you. Just the thought of being stuck with you 24 hours a day makes me uneasy. Are you happy now? I'm just worried you're lying to me. What if you use this job as a cover to sneak away? You'll probably go find Yuan Tianchen, end up half dead again, and then I'll have to come to your rescue. I couldn't stop thinking about what was said regarding the last reincarnation. After she killed Yuan Tianchen, she chose to die right alongside me. Honestly, I never imagined Ji Yaxian actually cared for me. Our relationship always felt pretty mediocre. Even now, we can't even breakfast without starting a fight. For the first 20 years of our lives, that was our normal. We'd start bickering after 2 sentences and then move on just as fast. I couldn't wrap my head around why she'd make a choice like that. Is Ji Yaxian just as messed up as Yuan Tianchen? Does she really have to wait until someone is gone to figure out her own feelings? Only then, clears throat. Does she feel regret? Fine, I get it. If I have to be your assistant, then that's what I'll be. The black sedan pulled up smoothly at the She Corporation entrance. As it stopped, the employees walking by slowed down without even realizing it. The door swung open and our usual cold, distant CEO stepped out first. But then every single eye in the place landed on me. Ji Yaxian stood right there by my side. She didn't care about the intense staring. She just took my hand and walked straight toward the private CEO elevator. Almost instantly, the lobby erupted into whispers. A few of the braver employees whipped out their phones. They started blowing up the company gossip group. What's happening? Hey, Assistant Zhu. Boss C just walked in with a total hottie, Xiao Chen. In their memories, he was the guy who was always losing his mind over Yuan Tianchen. They couldn't believe Ji Yaxian actually brought him into the office. Ding. The CEO elevator doors slid open on the top floor. Ji Yaxian stepped out, and I was right behind her. The staff upstairs looked like they'd seen a ghost. Come into my office, she commanded. Assistant Zhu snapped out of his shock. Yes, Boss Xi, he replied, scurrying to keep up. Good morning, Boss Xi. Good morning, son-in-law. What do you need from me? Before Shi Yujin could say a word, I looked up with a look of pure excitement. Could you set up a desk for me? I'm starting work today. Assistant Zhu looked like he was hearing things. How could the CEO's son-in-law, the guy who only ever brought trouble to the firm, actually want to work? This felt like a disaster waiting to happen. He looked at Si Yujin, hoping she'd tell him it was a joke. She gave a tiny, almost invisible nod. Put a desk in my office. Give him some easy stuff to start with. I shook my head. No, I want to sit out there with the rest of the team. Do what I told you. Get it done now. My request wasn't approved, but I wasn't surprised. These days, Si Yujin was a complete dictator. Don't you dare use work as an excuse to sneak out. If you do, don't even think about stepping foot outside this house ever again. As soon as I walked out, I was met by dozens of curious eyes. The hallway was buzzing with gossip. Our gazes met, and the air turned awkward in an instant. But honestly, I felt like I had finally found my people. A huge smile spread across my face. I stepped forward first, keeping my voice bright and clear. Hello, everyone. Hi there. We're going to be colleagues from now on. I'm a total newbie, so I don't know the ropes yet. Please take good care of me. Of course, of course. You're being way too polite, they replied with a laugh. I acted like I didn't notice their prying, judgmental looks. I just blended right in. After a bit of small talk, the tense atmosphere started to relax. One employee couldn't hold back their curiosity. They leaned in and asked cautiously, if you don't mind me asking, what's your relationship with Boss Xia? I blinked and gave a smooth, natural answer. Oh, we're childhood friends. We were old classmates, too. Oh, I see. Just as everyone was having a realization, Assistant Zhou arrived. He was leading the logistics staff, who were carrying a brand new desk, a chair, and computer equipment. When he saw me standing in the middle of the crowd, he stopped. His tone was incredibly respectful. Son-in-law, why aren't you in Boss Xia's office? That word son-in-law was like a heavy stone dropped into a quiet pond. It stirred up massive ripples in everyone's hearts. The entire scene went dead silent. This was the rumored husband who supposedly had a terrible relationship with the boss. It made sense that the only man who could stand beside Jia Yaxian was her husband, but no one could understand her move. What they didn't know was that Jia Yaxian was watching from behind the one-way glass of her office. Her gaze was locked onto me. Her eyes were swirling with emotions that were hard to read. There was scrutiny, suspicion, and a trace of possessiveness she was forcing herself to hide. Chen had been so obedient lately. He even had the same energy and spark he had back when he was 20. It was almost flawless. This might just be another one of his brilliant disguises. I need to find a flaw as soon as possible. I have to tear off his mask. But I want this to be real so badly. I wish time would just stop right here. I want Chen to stay like this forever. I want the man who smiles at me, who bickers with me, and who laughs like a fool after I tease him. Assistant Sue worked efficiently and quickly set up my workspace. A brand new computer and a full set of office supplies were ready for me. Now that I had my own territory, I looked exceptionally busy. I sat straight in front of the computer all morning. Sometimes I'd frown in thought, and other times I'd type away on the keyboard. I looked ridiculously serious. 21, what does this report even mean? What do all these numbers represent? How do I fix this formatting? Why does it look so ugly when I do it? School never taught me any of this. I've never even touched a program like this before. This PPT template is way too tacky. The colors are just hideous. I stuck to the principle that if you want to be fed, you have to do it yourself. First, I secretly searched for things I couldn't figure out on my phone. If I got really stuck, I'd make an emergency call to 21 for some remote guidance. I was basically stumbling my way through the whole process. I actually got through a few basic assignments pretty well today. See, Yashin printed my work and pointed at specific spots with her pen. This logic is flawed, she said. Your data citations are wrong and the formatting doesn't follow our company guidelines. I leaned closer to watch her mark up the paper. Her voice sounded soft and patient as she explained everything. I found myself following her lead, watching her fix and adjust the errors. I was slowly picking up her way of solving problems. Outside the window, the sky started turning the colors of sunset. My 5 o'clock alarm went off exactly on time. My eyes, which were glued to the screen just a second ago, suddenly brightened. I saved my work and killed the power in one quick, fluid motion. I cheered and stood up, ready to bolt. Xiao Chen, don't you need your revision notes? She asked. I'll do the revisions tomorrow, I shouted back. I vanished from the office like a cloud of smoke, leaving the other corporate drones staring at me with pure envy. Everyone wants to leave the second the clock strikes 5, but my freedom didn't last long. I'm sorry, son-in-law, the guard said. Boss, she gave strict orders. You aren't allowed to leave the building by yourself. Yaxian, I want to go home. Let me leave, I complained. Finish the revisions first, she replied. But the workday is over, I argued. Then consider it overtime. I'll pay you triple for the extra hours. In any other company, you'd be fired for trying to leave before your boss, she added. I gripped my phone and looked back at the elevator. With a sigh, I dejectedly walked back inside. The lights on the top floor flickered on for me once more. Let's just go home. I really hate overtime, I muttered. I followed her into the elevator, and the ride was much quieter this time. By the time she drove us back to the sea mansion, it was late at night. Aunt Wang had dinner ready for us. There were 6 dishes and a bowl of soup waiting on the table. It felt warm and cozy as we ate our meal in silence. Afterward, I headed straight to the bedroom to jump back into my game. Yaqian went to her study to finish some work. A little while later, her phone buzzed. Come grab a drink with me, the message read. I heard you took your husband to work today. What's the deal? I'm not going, Yaqian replied. There is no deal. Stop lying. You two actually spent a whole day together without a fight. No yelling, no silent treatment. That's a miracle, the friend replied. It was fine. He lost his memory, she texted back. Annoyed, Yaqian sent a quick reply and then ignored her. An hour later, the doorbell rang. Aunt Wang opened it to find Gu Nianyan standing there with a huge grin. She kicked off her shoes like she owned the place. Hey, Miss Shi, I'm downstairs, she texted. Where's that husband of yours? You really don't give up, do you? Yaqian looked toward the closed bedroom door. You came all this way just to gossip? Duh. It's a miracle you guys aren't fighting. I had to see it for myself. Gu Nianyan sat up, her eyes full of excitement. Yaqian said in a flat tone, we aren't an exhibit at the zoo. Is it really worth a trip? Well, wasn't Ah Chen always acting half dead over that Yuan Tianqian? Why the sudden change? I hope he isn't playing you again. Back when I caused. Because of the massive uproar involving Yuan Tianqian, Gu Nianyan had spent countless nights drinking with Qian to help her forget her troubles. As Qian's closest friend, she still felt a lingering sense of dread. A tiny glimmer of tenderness flickered in Qian's eyes. He lost his memory, she whispered. Gu Nianyan wasn't buying it. Last time he faked a headache and amnesia just to make you feel bad. His tricks are just getting better this time. This time it's actually real, Qian insisted. He doesn't even know who Yuan Tianqian is anymore. Gu Nianyan scoffed. What if he's gotten better at acting? Qian, please don't fall for his games again. Before she could finish her warning, the faint click of a door opening echoed from the second floor. Both women looked up at the same time. I stepped out, dressed in my comfortable loungewear. I leaned against the railing and looked down at them. My eyes were clear, but they held a touch of curiosity and a hint of distance. Gu Nianian stood up right away, flashing her trademark bright smile. Hey there, brother-in-law. Did we wake you up by talking too loud? I made my way down the stairs. Hello, I said, nodding toward her. Who is this? Gu Nianian was a close friend that the female lead had met back. It's a mess, isn't it? Now that he's lost his memory and everything is so uncertain, you have to be even more careful. He hates being locked up by me, and he doesn't exactly like me either. Shi Yaoyan stared at the amber liquid swirling in her glass. Isn't that obvious? She muttered. At least he wasn't making a fuss now. It was finally quiet. Just take it slow, Gu Nianian said. You can't rush matters of the heart. Shi Yaoyan didn't seem to hear her. She just poured herself another full glass. Gu Nianian shook her head, knowing she was stuck being the designated driver tonight. Their striking looks had already drawn plenty of attention from the crowd. Before long, a tall, muscular man carrying a wine glass walked over. He sat in the empty seat right next to Shi Yaoyan. Drinking alone is so boring for two beautiful ladies, he said. Want to have a drink together? Sorry, my friend is married, Gu Nianian interrupted. The man didn't budge. Married people can still make friends, right? Since this beauty is in a bad mood, let's just chat. I'm married, Shi Yaoyan repeated. The man's smile stiffened for a second. He looked pointedly at her bare fingers, his tone turning provocative. Since you're in such a bad mood, did you have a fight with your husband? If you ask me, you need to let yourself relax. Who knows? Maybe your husband is out having fun somewhere else right now. You aren't even wearing a wedding ring, so why be so serious? Life is short. Isn't it better to just enjoy the moment? At that exact moment, I was teaming up with my gaming buddies on voice chat. We were leaving the other couple speechless, and I was having the time of my life. Suddenly, without any warning, I let out a loud sneeze. I rubbed my nose and grumbled a quick complaint. Back at the bar, the temperature around Shi Yaqian suddenly dropped to freezing. The man felt the chilling intent in her eyes and grew intimidated. He didn't stick around. He fled in a total panic. Gu Nianian finally breathed a sigh of relief. She turned her head and saw Shi Yaqian staring down at her right hand. Her ring finger was empty. My marriage with Chen was a sham from the very start. He didn't like me before he lost his memory, and he still doesn't like me now. That realization burned her insides more than any strong liquor could. Shi Yaqian stopped talking. She just kept drinking glass after glass. Gu Nianian felt terrible watching her, but she didn't know how to offer any comfort. Since Shi Yaqian was clearly wasted, she had no choice but to call her people. She had to make sure this VIP got home safely. The night grew deep. When the driver helped Shi Yaqian out of the car, the night breeze blew against her face. Her mind seemed to clear for a split second, but her footsteps were still shaky. She waved away Gu Nianian's hand and staggered into the house by herself. She dragged herself up the stairs, one step at a time. Seeing that she wasn't needed anymore, Gu Nianian felt relieved and headed home. Shi Yaqian stopped in front of the bedroom door and leaned her back against the cold wall. She clumsily tried to straighten her skirt. Finally, she took a deep breath and reached for the cold doorknob. Ha 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 ha, my excited voice drifted out from inside the room. It came through the crack of the door and hit her ears with perfect clarity. Shi Yaqian's hand froze instantly. The blood in her entire body seemed to turn to ice before it suddenly rushed through her. Everything hit her at once, exploding in her head like a gunshot. Those nasty rumors from the man at the bar started ringing in her ears again. They felt like a dark curse, a cruel prophecy that was finally coming true in the most ironic way possible. It meant Chen never actually had amnesia. He'd been playing her this whole time. He used that innocent face and the ghost of his younger self to trick her. Every sweet, docile thing he did was just another thread in a massive web of lies. Behind her back, he was still keeping things cozy with Yuan Tian Bao. What a disgusting, intimate pet name. She'd whispered his name 1,000 times in her dreams, praying he'd call her something sweet just once, but he never did, not even a single time. Yet he'd said it to another woman over and over again. Her jealousy started to rot inside her, fueled by the alcohol. The buzz she'd felt earlier was fading, replaced by a wave of pure, unadulterated rage. The shame of being played for a fool surged through her like hot magma. It swallowed up whatever sanity she had left. She didn't just open the bedroom door, she slammed it back against the wall. Warm, golden light flooded out from the room, cutting through the shadows of the hallway. I was propped up against the headboard with my headphones on. My thumbs were flying across my phone screen. The sudden bang made me jump, and I snapped my head up. I still had a relaxed grin on my face from joking around with my teammate. Sai Yashin stood in the doorway, her face flushed a deep, unnatural red. I'd never seen that kind of bloodshot despair in her eyes before. Her cool, composed mask had completely shattered. She looked like a cornered animal that had been pushed too far. She stared me down, her lips shaking with emotion. Finally, she choked out a tearful accusation. Kao Chen, you're a liar. You never lost your memory, did you? I sat bolt upright, totally lost. What are you talking about? When did I lie to you? She started walking toward me, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. It looked like every step she took was painful, like she was walking on broken glass. Then who is Hao Bao? She demanded. It's Yuan Tian Tian, right? You've been faking everything. The amnesia, the sweet act, the way you pretend to need me. It's all a lie while you keep her on the hook. That's when it finally clicked. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so I just held up my phone. You mean this? This is my teammate. We just got a pentakill, and I called him Hao Bao to celebrate. What on earth are you thinking? Sayashin stopped dead in her tracks. She seemed to sober up instantly. The fire in her eyes died out, replaced by total confusion. She looked at the game on my screen, then back at my face. The red flush drained from her cheeks, leaving her pale. I let out a breath and softened my voice. Yashin, I get what you're scared of. You're afraid I'll remember her. But the guy who was obsessed with Yuan Tian Tian, that's not me anymore. All I remember is that we were childhood rivals who couldn't stop bickering. She looked away, her shoulders shaking just a little bit. She wouldn't look me in the eye, but she didn't try to argue either. I climbed out of bed and walked over to her. I still remember that time I sprained my ankle after coming in. Back at the sports meet, you were the one who helped me to the clinic. You didn't stop scolding me the whole way there, but you held my arm so gently. It was like you were terrified of hurting me. I remember how you always had a sharp tongue, but your heart was always soft. Whenever I ran out of pocket money, you'd complain relentlessly. Then, you'd turn right around and shove cash into my hands anyway. I still remember you saying that even if every other man on Earth died, you still wouldn't like me. I know you only said that because you were angry. I reached out, gently wiping the tears from her cheeks. Over the last 2 weeks, I've started to see things clearly. You claim you're locking me up with a gold chain because you're scared I'll run or get hurt. But in reality, you've given me the best life I could ever ask for. You even skipped a major bidding conference for my sake. Even when you thought I might be faking, you still rushed to my side every single time. Shi Yakin, you aren't the villain here. When it comes to me, you're just the silliest, most protective person in the world. She finally spoke, her tears falling onto the back of my hand. They felt scalding hot against my skin. Are you really never going to look for Yuan Tianxian again? She asked. Why would I ever look for her? She's a woman who strung me along and used me. She stepped all over me and the C family just to climb the social ladder. She never even gave me a single moment of sincerity. I'd have to be brain damaged to go back to someone like that. That guy from before wasn't really me. Now, I'm finally myself and I'm staying far away from trashy people. Host, you're incredible, the system chimed in. The misunderstanding was finally cleared up. I ignored the voice in my head and took Shi Yakin's hand. I led her over to the edge of the bed so we could sit down together. I want to apologize for everything that happened in the past. I'm saying it on his behalf. He made you suffer for 6 long years. He's the reason you lost sleep night after night. He made you feel like you had to lock me up just to keep me, even though you loved me. I was the one who wronged you. But I promise you this. From today on, Xiao Chen will never let Shi Yakin cry another tear. Shi Yakin threw herself into my arms and hugged my waist tightly. She buried her face in the crook of my neck. All the pain she'd bottled up for 6 years finally came out. She sobbed just like a child. I gently patted her back, feeling my heart ache for her. This so-called imprisonment was never about control. It was actually salvation. If she hadn't guarded me every step of the way, the old me would be dead. That version of me was manipulated by the plot. I would have died long ago from the constant emotional breakdowns and despair. Don't lock me up with chains anymore, I whispered. I'm not going to run. If you're worried about me, I'll just take you wherever I go. I'll follow you to the office and keep you company after you're done. I'm never leaving you for the rest of my life. Really, she whispered. It's truer than real gold. I'm going to work hard to help you manage the She group too. I used to be a burden, but from now on, I'll be your strongest support. That night was the first time we didn't sleep a meter apart. I held her close and she leaned into my embrace. She slept so peacefully. There was no tossing and turning, and she didn't wake up once during the night. When Shi Yakin woke up the next morning, she looked a little embarrassed. Her ears were bright red. I couldn't help but tease her. President Shi, who was that crying their eyes out yesterday? I asked. She glared at me, but her usual coldness was gone. She looked almost playful as she told me not to bring it up. After we got out of bed, I told the bodyguards to take away the chains. I'm getting rid of every gold chain in the house. From this moment on, I'm going to tie you down with my heart instead. It's far stronger than any metal. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into my work at the J Group. At first, I couldn't even make sense of a basic financial report. I stayed close to Si Yashen though, and I slowly learned the ropes of the business. I started handling company affairs, and my skills improved faster than I expected. Shi Yashen was so patient while she taught me everything she knew. I worked as hard as I could, because I just wanted to take some of the weight off her shoulders. I didn't want her to have to carry the whole company by herself anymore. Meanwhile, Yuan Tianchen finally faced the consequences of her own greed. Her government bidding project was a total disaster. She didn't just lose the Qi family's investment, she also ended up buried under a mountain of debt. She had to mortgage all of her original shares just to stay afloat. When her parents saw how badly she'd failed, they turned their backs on her. Her relatives saw she had no power left, so they stripped her of every right she had in the company. They moved quickly to put other children in her place. Everyone abandoned Yuan Tianchen. All of her former glory just vanished into thin air. In the end, she had no choice but to leave High City in total disgrace. She'll never have the power to cause trouble. My last marriage happened because of spite and a need for salvation. It was just an accident. This time I want to marry you because I truly love you. Will you marry me? Shi Yatian's eyes filled with tears. She nodded her head quickly, her voice thick with emotion as she spoke. I will. I slid the diamond ring onto her finger, stood up, and pulled her into a tight hug. From this moment on, we aren't childhood rivals anymore. There's only me and my wife staying by each other's side for the rest of our lives. We're gonna grow old together. Host, the final mission is now complete. The grand prize, Growing Old Together, has been activated. We wish you and her a lifetime of happiness, peace, and smooth sailing. Growing old together, as I held her in my arms, my heart felt completely full. I used to think I was just a puppet trapped in a novel. I thought my fate was already written, and I believed I was doomed to a tragic ending. But now I know the truth. As long as you stay true to yourself and cherish real love, you can break free from any restraint. You can live the life you actually want. Shi Yashin spent 6 years obsessed with protecting me, waiting for the real me to return. I'm going to use the rest of my life to be tender and stay by her side. I'll make up for every grievance in all those years she spent waiting. Being able to marry you in this lifetime is the greatest fortune I could ever have.